What's going on with Victor right now is honestly kind of insane. Like, just watch this scene and see for yourself.
Is that Miranda's car?
Yeah.
Oh, we have to go right now.
What did you find?
A bag of teeth. Here, you should see them. No, he needs to be prepared.
Mom, what does that mean?
You have to know what's
You
coming.
need to stop. What's wrong with you?
What we are looking at right here, if you do not understand, is undeniable proof that we are being deceived in more ways than we can possibly imagine by the evil forces of this town. Because this scene right here is one of the biggest signs that Victor has always been working for the monsters. Like, what I want you to notice here first and foremost is that the car we see in the vision that Tabitha has of Victor's mom arriving into the town seemingly for the first time ever is clearly a different car than the one that Tabitha herself believes belonged to Victor's mom. And you can tell that this is conclusively the case just by looking at the steering wheel, the door, and even the dashboard, that these are literally just two different cars. And the writers clearly are not being very subtle about that fact. The reason why this matters so much is that it means something that is living in Fromland, more than likely the entity in control of the monsters himself, has been implanting fake memories into Tabitha's brain, which explains why there is a disparity between why she thought that this car belonged to her supposed predecessor in reincarnation, but the vision she sees makes it clear that Victor's mom's car was actually a completely different car. But why you need to understand this is the case without a doubt is that because of what happened here, we now have even more proof that the reason Victor has been allowed to live in this town by the monsters for 40 plus years is because the entity is using him to feed disinformation into the population of the town. Like, just watch this scene and you will see exactly what I'm talking about.
This is where you play.
What do you want to hear?
This was your mother's car.
Play the one about the star. And I'd sit up here just like this, and she'd play. She used to play it when I was afraid. His name was Christopher. He made people laugh. This was his car. People liked him.
This scene with Victor is just one of the many signs that Victor has always been working with the monsters from the very beginning of the show for the purpose of misleading and deceiving the people of the town, more than likely unintentionally. Like, what I want you to pay attention to in this moment is that Victor clearly says that this car right here is the one which belonged to Christopher, right? And that is the guy who we have been led to believe is the last person that Jade's soul was reincarnated from. Now, this is very peculiar to me because this car that Victor claims belonged to Christopher and not his mother actually has the same branding that we see from the car Victor's mom was driving when she first entered the town. The reason why this stands out so much to me is that this car Victor claims belonged to Christopher is actually the same exact car where Victor's sister's drawings were kept in. And I've talked about it many times before that it would not make any sense whatsoever for Victor to place his sister's drawings in the trunk of the car of the man who supposedly caused the massacre and therefore led to his sister's death, despite the fact that Christopher is a person whom Victor's sister supposedly was not related to in any way, and the trunk of the car that supposedly belonged to their mother was completely intact. So a lot of people have been saying that this car right here is actually the one that belonged to Victor's mom. But this is where things start to get crazy because I was able to find a car with an almost identical interior to the car that Victor's mom was driving in the vision that Tabitha has in that scene. And it's very clear to me now that that car is an AMC Hornet X Gucci Sportabout wagon. The reason why this matters so much is that this car, the AMC Hornet X Gucci Sportabout wagon, clearly looks absolutely nothing like the car that both Tabitha and Victor believe belonged to Victor's mom. And it also doesn't look anything like the car that Victor claims Christopher was driving. Like, yes, they're both AMC Hornet branded, but in reality, they are two completely different cars. And I also want to bring attention to the fact that they specifically filmed that scene in such a way that we couldn't even see what color the exterior of the car that Victor's mom was driving even was. And if this is the same car as that AMC Hornet X Gucci Sportabout wagon, then it's very obvious why they didn't want us to see what it looked like, because it would immediately reveal that both of the cars we've been told they came into the town with are clearly not the car that Victor's mom actually came into the town with. And it would actually make more sense for Victor's mom to be driving this car in particular, because this one has 4 different doors as opposed to Christopher's car. And we've already seen in the car that Victor's mom was driving that the other front seat was completely empty when she arrived into the town. So once again, keep that in mind. That front seat was completely empty. But it's also very curious how this scene right here that came from Tabitha, it came from Tabitha, not Victor, was filmed in such a way that you couldn't possibly tell how how many people were actually in the car when this woman was driving into the town, seemingly for the first time. Like, they were so careful about this to the point that it's completely impossible to even tell how many seats are even in the car that Victor's mom was driving. Because if this is the case, it would mean that the woman we have been led to believe is Victor's mom did not come into the town with Victor and his sister, or that Victor is literally just a monster whose only purpose is to intentionally lie to the people of the town, and that his sister never existed in the first place. It's also very interesting how I've seen people pointing out before that this woman that we've been led to believe is Victor's mom was not even wearing a wedding ring. And if you assume that she was an unmarried woman without any children, would actually make a lot of sense. But this is just completely insane, and it doesn't even seem remotely possible without Victor's dad's memories also being manipulated to an absolutely insane degree. However, this would actually connect with the obvious hole in the child sacrifice narrative that we keep being fed by this place that was opened up when we realized that Tabitha at some point, or as a past reincarnation, was summoned into the town as a child, more than likely in the 1800s based off of Jade's timeline, which would clearly contradict the claim by the 12-year-old Jade, boy in blue, that the reason Jade and Tabitha are brought into the town is to supposedly save the children that were supposedly sacrificed. But it's also possible that the Victor that we know is actually like a zombie or something created from the original Victor, who is actually a real boy, in a similar way to what we saw happening with the man in yellow and Roger. This would mean that neither of the two cars are the one that belonged to Victor's mom, which immediately means that whatever memories Victor and Tabitha have about the owners of these two cars are just completely fake in every way. Because remember, I was able to find a similar make and model to the car that supposedly belonged to Victor's mom, and that car is very clearly not the car that Victor's mom been driving, because she was clearly in this other car, the AMC Hornet X Gucci Sportabout wagon. But if that's the case, it would be conclusive proof that not only that Victor's memories in particular have been manipulated, but also that Tabitha's memories have been manipulated as well. Because remember, just like Victor, Tabitha explicitly says that this car over here is the one that she believes belonged to Victor's mom.
Is that Miranda's car?
Yeah.
Can we go inside?
This was your mother's car.
I'd sit up here just like this, and she'd play. She used to play it when I was afraid.
This means that both Tabitha and Victor are walking around with fake memories that have been implanted into their brains, more than likely by the same exact being. Because remember, whether this car is the fake or this one is the deception doesn't even matter. One of the memories that she has of the two cars is clearly a decoy, and therefore part of a deliberate disinformation campaign sent by the enemy. Just like whatever memories Victor has of his mother playing the violin are more than likely completely fake. So it doesn't even matter. The conclusion remains the same either way, that the memories have been manipulated and therefore intentionally edited by the evil forces of the town to achieve a particular outcome. And obviously, Tabitha and Victor are not the only ones in this town walking around with fake memories in their brains. Something else I want you to notice is how Victor specifically claims that his mother is the one that used to play the violin. But we have seen in this year that the reincarnations of Jade and not Tabitha are the ones who play the violin. So we are already seeing the inconsistencies in Victor's stories. And this is just one of the many signs that Victor's memories have clearly been edited and tweaked by the entity in control of the monsters, just like Tabitha's. Like, people will say that Tabitha and Victor's mom both making the bracelet is somehow proof of her being a reincarnation, even though it doesn't make any sense, because Tabitha specifically says she made the bracelet from the laces of Jim Matthews' father's boots. So how could other versions of Tabitha, who likely didn't even exist before the technology to create those types of laces was available, have made the same exact bracelet? It doesn't make sense, yet people accept it anyways. But when it comes to Tabitha not being able to play the violin, just like Victor's mom was supposedly capable of, people just ignore it because it doesn't fit with the reincarnation narrative and come up with the excuse that skills are somehow different and they do not transfer between one life and the next. But then we are shown that all versions of Jade played the violin, and suddenly people are like, oh, of course they can do that, they are his reincarnations. What? No, the story that we are being sold here simply doesn't make sense. That's just a fact. There is a lot of very obvious bias in this community when it comes to the supposed evidence of these characters being reincarnations, even when it contradicts what we are literally seeing with our own eyes. The car Tabitha sees in that vision is conclusively a different car than the one she herself clearly has memories of belonging to Victor's mom. Like, what's going on here with the cars is just insane and doesn't really make any sense based on anything we've been told in the show thus far. And this is a very good showcase of how the people of this town are being deceived and manipulated by this place place in ways that we literally cannot even imagine. Because there are actually many other hints that the entity has been doing this to Tabitha and Victor's brains for a very long time. Like, just watch, and what I'm trying to tell you is going to become very clear to you.
He came in a car just like the rest of us. Thought his yellow suit was funny. We thought he was just like us. We made him our friend when everyone died. When I found Mom out by the bottle tree, he was eating her.
Now, this scene is much more important than most people realize, because the drawing that Victor shows his dad of his mother being eaten by the man in yellow, we can see that whoever this woman is was wearing a white dress when she died at the bottle tree. But the woman we have been told is Victor's mom clearly was not wearing a white dress on the night that she died. And it really has to be stated that this vision showing the death of this woman did not come from Victor, it came from Tabitha. But we have also seen Victor recalling what his mother was wearing the day she died when he remembers what happened at the root cellar. Now, to me, what's going on with the discrepancy between what she was wearing in Victor's drawing and what Victor and Tabitha believe she was wearing when she died has a very simple explanation. The same entity who implanted the fake memories that make Tabitha and Victor believe that this is the car that belonged to the woman we have been told is Victor's mom is the same entity who implanted the memories into their brains that make them believe she was wearing this particular outfit when she died rather than the white dress. And we know that the drawing is the one that is real and the vision is fake, because even when Victor's dad came into the town, they specifically had him looking at the drawing of the woman in the white dress that was in Victor's room. And you can also see that there is a drawing of a woman in a white dress when Tabitha is getting choked out in the trailer. So it's obvious this woman wearing the white dress is not only important, but that it is specifically connected to whatever Tabitha will discover in this season about the plot point of her supposedly being a reincarnation. And it could honestly be Victor himself that is choking out Tabitha in this scene after Tabitha starts asking him about the contradictions in his stories, because it's very likely that Victor is some sort of sleeper agent that has been telepathically programmed to activate under specific conditions.
Oh, we have to go right
Victor,
now.
what did you find?
A bag of teeth. Here, you should see them.
No.
He needs to be prepared. Everyone died, but not the boy. And he grew up alone and afraid, and now you're here, the boy and the girl again.
What does that mean?
The man in yellow is back. You have to know what's
Victor,
coming.
you need to stop. What's wrong with you?
What really matters here is, I have said this many times before, the entity in control of the monsters is directly responsible for whatever is going on with the child sacrifice narrative that the people are being fed here, that, oh, you need to save the children, blah, 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 blah. It's all fake. He specifically wants Tabitha and Jade to believe they are reincarnations. And whether they really are or not, I can't really say. It's literally impossible for me to say that at this point, because the amount of disinformation being thrown at us is absolutely insane. But what I want you to note and keep in the back of your mind right now is that Victor was implying that Tabitha, and therefore his mother, and the woman they are reincarnated from, are always brought back into the town with a boy and a girl, and that the boy is the one who always survives, and he therefore grows up alone and in fear. But we literally see that this cannot be true, because Tabitha was in Fromland as a child. And remember, we also know that the village by the lake was created in the 1800s, which is obviously long after Fromland itself was created, and therefore long after the supposed child sacrifice. This means that we already know the claim by Victor that Tabitha is always brought back into the town when she has a boy and a girl as her children is conclusively false. This also means that the boy in blue's claim that Tabitha and Jade are always brought into the town to save the children is also clearly false. But people see these contradictions and they just hand wave them away. No, to me, it's very clear that the boy in white is the one implanting these fake memories into Tabitha and Victor's brains, because he's also very clearly the boy in blue who is also implanting fake visions into Jade's brain. And he's probably the entity in control of the monsters. Like, Victor wasn't the first, he won't be the last. Ethan is supposed to be the next. The entire point of the boy, the role played by Victor, and Ethan is also supposed to play that role now, is that he keeps him alive so that he can mislead the future people who come into the town. There is no other purpose to him being alive other than that. There were probably dozens, even hundreds of other Victors going back all the way from the beginning of Fromland. Like, what's going on with the cars and the fake memories is just the tip of the spear with how badly we are being toyed with by this place. Like, even when you look at what happened with Kenny and the milkman, it's incredibly obvious that the entire thing was clearly planned by the monsters. So go watch this video here to see my explanation on how we know for a fact that the Nightwalkers always wanted them to try to kill one of them with the voodoo totem effigies.